you have enormous reservoir of humanity. I mean, I'm surrounded by people who are supposedly brilliant, and much of that brilliance is expressed outwardly. You'll have an inner calm about you and a quiet, which is not just enriching, but welcoming of others in an empathetic way. Oh, good Lord. What is something you would never have done if it wasn't for me?
This. I wouldn't have done this. And the reason is that we have a non-verbal communication as well. The reason is that you hold a worldview which is both personal and collective. And that's what I love about what we share, is that we weave in between, duck and dive, in between the very, ordinary to the very extraordinary. And I love that. It's great companionship to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
If there was a way I could disappoint you in the future, what do you think that would be?
Sometimes I feel, and I know because of your family situation at the moment, there is such an enormous generosity of spirit in you that you sometimes simply give far too much of yourself to others. So you're good at this anyway, but I would encourage you to be better at it, at taking that time again for you and sitting back.
Good advice.
Now, you mentioned before, I mean, as we get older and frailer, I mean, I was indefatigable till I got to 60, as you know. Now every fucking piece of me that you can imagine is falling to pieces. Eye operation, kidney failure, cancer. It's a glorious spectrum of decay, really. So to me, there is both a recognition and a liberation in that if one realises that, like everything else, it's about balance and management and so on and so forth. And my famous rudeness has developed quite strongly in recent years, simply to shield myself from people expecting me to answer their need in one way or another. Life is short.
Yeah.
And it's there to be enjoyed every day. But if you're overwhelmed with expectation every day upon you, it's very hard to see the clarity of what the enjoyable moment is in that day. And I've just become, well, I hope I'm getting better at doing that. What was the greatest test of our friendship, and what did we learn from it?
For me, it was being rung in the middle of the night, or you rang me in the middle of the night. That was a test when you were travelling and in need. And actually the test for me was how far I'd be willing to go to get help for you, really. So that was, and I was willing to do anything.
Because we spent a lot of calls that night, which was, as I say, totally bizarre for me. The famous cup half full globalist, dapper chap that I'm supposed to be, was confronted by, for the first time in his life really, a extraordinary sense of what can only be described as a depressive episode. But that was a deeply held, and thank you again for that moment, for that night.
And I remember thinking, if I can just get you to notice someone else, it might help. And I asked you to describe who was around you.
Right.
You may not remember that. And you described a mother and child. And I think the child was crying.
Never happened since. Clearly, I don't need you anymore, girl.
That's right. This could be the completing conversation. How am I most like you, and how does that scare you? What does it scare you?
It's very simple. I mean, you are indefatigably honest. You reek of integrity, and that scares me, I guess, because that's a holy grail for me. You know, I talk about masks and me. I cannot abide people who hide constantly, spend a lot of time hiding, and the lack of integrity that often accompanies that. So with that comes absolutely, you talk about we not needing to talk a lot, there is an innate trust, inalienable trust. It comes from that place in you. Yeah.
I think I mirror what you have. Yeah.
Ooh, why do you think I'm in your life?
Ooh. I think this isn't the first lifetime. So I think this is a lifetime of, well, for me, in my life, it's the lifetime of common soul intention. And I feel like there's all these souls that I've had experiences with in other lifetimes, and we've come together with a certain intention to shift. We're transitioning paradigms, social consciousness paradigms, political paradigms, and I think that's why we're in this life together. It's to share that innate common knowledge, so that sense that we don't have to talk much. That somehow we know something about each other without having to communicate that. And so it's just an incredible blessing for me to have you in my life, because I can sit and listen to your bullshit and have a cup of tea and cake, coffee and cake, but the subtext is always we know that we're here to do something really important. So it's precious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right back at you.
Not that one. Oh. If this were to be our last conversation in this life, what would you want me to never forget?
You are enough. But you're more than enough. Like you, no doubt, I'm starting to attend increasing numbers of funerals. And I think that it's important that we share with each other what really matters, because you never quite know what might happen.
Yeah, you are enough.
So are you.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. It's Nick from The Skin Deep, and we really appreciate you being a part of our community. So if you want to take it to the next level, if you want to stay more connected, go to theskindeep.com/subscribe. We got promos, we got new videos, we got new products, all that fun stuff lives there. So if you love what we're doing and you want to stay in the loop, check it out. And otherwise, thank you so much for being here.